Good afternoon, you're with Calling All Stations, and today I've got a very special review of one of the brand new large LED boards sent through to me from my good friends at UK Departure Boards from Russell, so thank you very much for sending that in for me to have a play with. This is one of the brand new, slightly updated boards with a brand new aesthetic and a new Wi-Fi configuration process, so you don't need to plug in an SD card into a laptop to configure all your Wi-Fi settings now. Hopefully it should all be done through the Wi-Fi of the board. I apologise if my cat starts crying. He's upset that he can't come in the living room and chew the cardboard boxes that I've got out. This is brand new out the box. I haven't turned this on before, so hopefully it's super easy. But I've read through the little instruction guide before we started, and it's kind of like setting up an Amazon Alexa or one of the kind of smart bulbs or smart plugs. We should be able to connect to the Wi-Fi of the board and then putting our own Wi-Fi passwords and credentials, and then we should be good to go, and then start configuring the boards on the UK Departure Boards website, which I will take you through. So what you get in the box, obviously you get the brand new display, you get a power supply which I've plugged into the mains outlet, and you get a little instruction booklet of how to get started. So straight out of the box I want to talk about sort of the evolution of this product. We started from UK Departure Boards with very simple sort of design LED boards mounted to a kind of a steel frame. It was all rather open. Then we moved on to sort of a kind of a screen mount, but parts of the gubbins were all sort of exposed at the back. But now we're into this really quite swish design. You've got this whole kind of encased metal frame, front, back and sides, and that's a little look at the back there. And this means we've now got inbuilt mounting points there, these two rails, so that you can hang it on a wall, which is excellent. You've also got these, which I really like, they kind of slide along, two mounting brackets that sit at the top of the board there, enabling you to drill it and mount it on a wall. So it looks super slick in any setting, any home setting, or even in a business setting if you want one of these in your place of work. Anyway, I think it's time to fire this up and to have a little look at the instruction book guide and get this configured. Okay, there we go. I've turned it on for the first time. Now don't be alarmed if you've just bought one of these. It does take sort of 2 minutes to boot up, and it kind of looks like nothing's happening, but there is a little note in the instructions that says it does take a while for the device to boot. So don't be too worried if you're sitting there thinking nothing's happening. It's all whirring away in the background, and once you're on, you should be greeted by this message: device Wi-Fi set up, connect to Departure Board network, and then we'll go to this URL via web browser. I must say, first impressions, this is huge. I'm gonna have to sort of step back to actually read some of this display. This is really fantastic. So over on the screen, what I'm going to do, I'm going to come down to Wi-Fi and I'm going to connect to the Departure Board Wi-Fi. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically type this into my address browser. So it's 10.0.0.1:8080, and then I'm going to hit enter. Select your Wi-Fi networks. This is the Wi-Fi networks that are currently around my home. I'm going to select that one because it's mine, and this is where I remember that I can't remember my Wi-Fi password. Okay, so I've submitted my password. It all accepted it there, and hopefully it's now going to reboot. And again, that's going to take a couple of seconds because it's going to go through its full reboot process, so it's going to take a couple of minutes to do that. Then we should be able to configure the board. Okay, so the board is now booted. This, by the way, is the serial number of the board. We need to remember that later so that we can assign that number to our own account. Don't worry if you can't remember it. It's also written on the back of the board, but it does come up there, which is quite useful to know. Okay, so once that's all set up and Wi-Fi is configured and it's churning out data like that, you're going to want to choose your station of choice. You're going to want to configure this, change the colors, see what timing information you can choose. You can turn off platform numbers, you can turn on head codes, you can change all the colors of this funky stuff. So to do that, and here is a tab that I have prepared earlier, you're going to want to create an account on the ukdepartureboards.co.uk website if you don't already have one. So if you are setting this up for the first time, your setup process will be ever so slightly different to what I'm going to show you now because I've already got an account. But if you are setting this up for the first time, create an account. It's going to prompt you for that serial number that came up first time around. Don't worry if you can't remember it. It's also written on the back of the board. Pop that in, it will then assign it to your account, and then you can start configuring it. If you do have an account already, like I have, I'm going to go to my account configuration. That's going to load up a load of my other departure boards. I'm going to go add, and then I'm going to put in that board serial number. So there we go, that should be correct now. And I'm going to add board. And we're on Bristol Parkway. That sounds vaguely familiar. We got Swansea, we got Plymouth, we had Gloucester before, London, Paddington, Bristol, Templemead. So that does sound about right. So first of all, I'm going to change the station. Let's go with a place that I used to live, Huddersfield, and I'm going to update the board, and hopefully very quickly it's going to change to Huddersfield, he says. There we go. Morpeth. I didn't think trains went to Morpeth from Huddersfield. That must be a new one. So let's have a little flick through of some of the settings that we can configure. We've got include services with unknown platform, include bus services, ferry services if it's connecting with a ferry service in Scotland on the Isle of Wight perhaps. Include London Underground services. That's going to be if you're at a National Rail station that also has London Underground services like Richmond, like Willesden Junction, those kind of places. You can switch the feed from National Rail to real-time trains, Translink Northern Ireland, if you're choosing one of the Northern Ireland stations. Then we can do a whole host of settings to do with showing the services. I'm going to increase that to 6 trains and then let it filter through those. Every time I do that, press update. In a couple of seconds, it will refresh. I can order services by expected departure time. If one's running late and the sequence gets slightly changed, it will reorder them for you. I do like enabling static calling outs text because it kind of fits in with the brand, if you will. I can show the head code. A lot of people like seeing the head codes. There's a whole host of interesting settings that you can play with, and I won't go into every single one. And then right at the bottom, we can start playing with some of the colours. So should we change calling at to be a funky colour? There we go. So we're now displaying head codes. And we've now got a funky colour for calling out. It's also doing commas as well, which is quite interesting. And don't forget, we can select any UK stations. We don't have to be in Huddersfield. Let's go for somewhere a little bit more obscure, perhaps. Let's see what's going on in Carawa. Probably not a lot. But we can have a look at what happens when there are no trains, because it does display no train messages as well. There are no services at Crow. Why does that not surprise me? Anyway, this is a good opportunity now to show you some of the other things that the board can look at. It can look at more things other than UK National Rail stations. We can also look at Tube and DLR. So let's have a look at Oxford Circus. And we can also filter by line if we were particularly interested in seeing what the Bakerloo line was doing, if we wanted to use that to get to work, to get home, if and when we are allowed back into offices and into central London. We could filter by platform, we could filter by destination, we can show train approaching and lots of different funky things. So I'm going to update that. There we go, those are our services currently at Oxford Circus. You can also configure if you want to see these station messages, if they're appropriate to you, you can choose to see them if you want. And when I go to trams, it automatically configures the right feed to transport for Greater Manchester. So there we go, that's having a look at what's going on with the trams in Manchester at Piccadilly Gardens. It also tells you if it's a double tram. I remember Carl telling me the DBL means it's a double length tram.
If your tram is a double,
which is always good to know. And again, we can configure some of the text colours. So let's make this blue. Service ETA, let's make that a dark red. And then let's see what happens there. There we go. And finally, under the device column, you can assign your board a name. So I'm going to go large LED kitchen. That's where I'm going to put it. And you can also set power saving functions. So if you want this to turn off at night, basically not have it running all the time, you can dim the intensity of the display right down to 0, or you could boost it up at certain times. If you wanted a really vivid display at night to light up your room, you could tell it to brighten up at a certain time of the day and then dim down when you've gone to bed. Okay guys, thanks very much for watching. That was a very quick review on how to set up one of the brand new large LED boards from UK Departure Boards, and this is the new variety with the built-in Wi-Fi capability, which I hope you'll agree was really quick and simple to set up. That was the first time I'd ever done that process. It was very simple. It was much easier than before, when there was an SD card and you have to pop that in your machine, configure it and then put it back. It was just basically turn this on, go to a web browser, load in your Wi-Fi details, and you're away. It's brilliant. I love that. It's very much like Alexas and smart bulbs. It's very now. I do like stuff that just works, and it does just work. So don't forget, if you want to get your hands on one of these, go to the ukdepartureboards.co.uk website. The large LED boards, I believe, are around £359, but you can get 5% off any UK Departure Boards product by going to ukdepartureboards.co.uk, choosing your product, and when you go through to checkout, pop Calling All Stations in as a voucher code, Calling All Stations, all one word, and you'll get 5% off. If you can't remember that, all that's on my website. Go to callingallstations.co.uk/departure board, and it'll talk you through what to do and how to get 5% off. And I'll put all that in the description below as well. Really love this. This is a fantastic product. I love all the kind of sleek frame. It's huge. It's going to fit really well on the office wall. Don't tell the other half that. So I'll have a couple more videos coming up for you in the coming weeks. I've dug through the archive footage and I've recorded another couple of fun videos. Some are train themed, some aren't train themed, but it's sort of relevant to the channel and stuff I think you'll really enjoy anyway, in the absence of me being able to go out and film Series 3. So obviously we can't go out and do the stuff that we were doing, and who knows when we'll be able to go out on the railway again and film some of this stuff. However, this is a brilliant way to bring the station to you. You've been with Calling All Stations. I'll see you at the next stop.